June 24th, 2024, that is the date Tennessee baseball won its first ever national championship. Ryan Schumpert, Jack Foster here with the Rocky Top Insider. Instant reaction to Tennessee's 6-5 win over Texas A&M Monday night at Charles Schwab Field to, like I said, win the first ever national championship in program history. Tony Vitello's Vols have reached the mountaintop.
We have, and just unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable how far this program has come. And, you know, we talked about it a lot kind of on podcasts the last couple of weeks after Tennessee winning the SEC regular season, tournament, making it to Omaha. Is this program the best in the country, the best in the SEC? Kind of one and the same. And it was like they're just missing the national championship. And at this point, I think we can say, undoubtedly, at least for the time being.
For this decade.
Yeah, so far for this decade.
Yeah.
For the last 4 years. 5 seasons, I guess. Well, 5 years, 4 seasons they didn't play COVID. This is the program in the 2020s.
It's unbelievable. When you think about how close Tony Vitello technically was in 2022, they had the best team in the nation. Heartbreaker there in the Super Regional to Notre Dame. Last year, playing with house money, really getting to Omaha, considering how the season had gone up to that point. Win a game, the first in Omaha in the Tony Vitello era, and then this year to win it all, 5-1 in Omaha this week.
Yep.
2-1, of course, in the final series. Dillon Dreiling comes through yet again. In all 3 games of the CWS Finals, Dillon Dreiling hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning. You talk about a leadoff homer for SEMO setting the tone. That's great. That's huge. But when you talk about clutch, that comes in late game moments. That's what Dillon Dreiling has done all 3 games. And he won CWS MVP,
he did.
right?
Yep.
I was busy when the awards were given out. But yes, Dillon Dreiling, your College World Series MVP, and rightfully so. This man was on a mission all weekend long, and he's a big reason why Tennessee was holding up that trophy tonight.
A huge reason why. And, you know, obviously I think everybody expected him to have a big year. We knew he was really talented, but to go from, you know, a not everyday starter last year to as good as he's been this year and as good as he was this College World Series, pretty incredible. And I do want to touch on that 7th inning. Obviously things get dicey for Tennessee in the 8th and the 9th, but the 7th inning to me felt like the big turning point. Tennessee up 3-1. The 8 and 9 hitters get on for A&M in the top half, so it's 1 out, 2 on, top of the lineup up. Feels like easily game could be tied. Tennessee gets out of that inning. I'm trying to remember how was the first out. First out was a fly out, I want to say, and the guy tagged up from 2nd to 3rd. And then the 3rd out, fittingly, it's Schumpert. He gets over Blake Burke's head.
Yeah.
He does a good job of getting back in position to cover the base. Christian Moore gets over to him. And then you flip it to the bottom half of the inning. It was the exact opposite. Evan Aschenbeck, A&M's guy, retires Christian Moore and Blake Burke, 1 pitch each. And it felt like, all right, nothing going this inning for Tennessee. Billy Amick, who struggled the whole College World Series, certainly the finals, big single that sparked things. Dillon Dreiling hits that home run, weren't done yet. Hunter Ensley single, Kavares Tears double off the wall, and what a slide that was.
When you talk about the moment, it's tough in baseball. There's so many moments. And I think Dreiling's homer in all these games and the walk-off against Florida State in the first game here, there's so many moments that led to Tennessee winning a national championship. But when you just talk about a moment that will live in Tennessee lore and that people will go back and watch over and over and over again, to me it's that Hunter Ensley slide to score.
With the spike in a helmet.
Yes, the emphatic spike. And then how the game ended. Of course, maybe the 9th inning goes differently. Who knows? Tennessee had a big lead. They took a little bit of a chance going with Dylan Loy out of the pen. But it's 6-5 final. Tennessee wins by 1 run. The Hunter Ensley run was their 6th and final run. So it's the difference in the end.
It is, and it just felt like Tennessee was playing with fire a little bit. They'd had that 3-1 lead for a while. They couldn't extend it. And Aschenbeck, like we said, that's A&M's guy.
Yeah.
And for Tennessee to have that success, to score 3 runs off of him, obviously Dreiling's is a huge hit. But the whole inning, that whole 2-out rally was huge. And just the way those 2 innings work in a complete inverse of each other. Tennessee gets out of the jam and gets the big runs after the first 2 guys get out was crazy.
Not quite a 6-inning outing for Xander Sechrist tonight, but 5 1/3. I thought Xander Sechrist was great yet again.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, the last 6 outings for Xander, he has just been downright dominant in the biggest stage of them all for all the marbles coming out tonight. Little old midweek guy said after the game, it's a midweek. Monday's technically a midweek.
I think that's the first thing he said to us too.
Yeah, probably.
Monday's a midweek.
Outside of comparing Tony V to Mike Tomlin.
That's right. But he was getting his
and
Pittsburgh
then doing
Steelers
his own
references.
impression of being a TV reporter, which he has a future in, by the way.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Xander, if you're watching,
Good media personality.
Good stuff. Anyway, but Xander Sechrist doing that tonight. I think you and I both had confidence he'd do it. I wasn't necessarily surprised, but it's just when you look at the season and how it ended, Xander Sechrist, arguably from the pitching staff for sure, the MVP in this final home stretch.
Yeah, probably him or Snead, I guess, for the whole season.
For the whole season?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm waiting how important
Yeah.
postseason is.
I mean, if you said postseason, I think I'd give it to Xander for sure.
No, I do too. And yeah, he was just really good again. And it felt like even tonight when he did give up runs, it felt like he was really effective. It didn't feel like he, the Florida State game was when he pitched earlier this week. It was a really good outing, but it felt like he got hit hard a little bit at times. Tonight, it didn't really feel like he got hit hard. A bunt single that was an error. Even, in this sixth inning when he gets run, he strikes out Laviolette to open up the inning. A single and then a real seeing eye single that was not hit hard at all. That just gets
a little bit of bad luck there.
Yeah, a little bit of bad luck. It just didn't feel like A&M barreled him up much at all tonight. And he also kind of got a little bit better as he went. I mean, he struck out the side in the fifth inning, and obviously, like I said, got that Laviolette strikeout to start the sixth inning.
When you talk about Nate Snead, pitched 5 times in the College World Series. Only pitcher who pitched more than him was Kirby, who I think came in every game.
I think so.
Yeah, 6 times. But Nate Snead, wasn't just super dominant today, but definitely ate some big outs for Tennessee. And when you just look at Tennessee's College World Series run, I don't think they could have done it without Nate Snead.
No, not at all. They couldn't have done a ton of what they did this year without Nate Snead. He was one of the constants through early in the season when the pitching was really shaky. He was kind of a guy to help glue things together. And Tony's talked about with this team how selfless everybody's been. I think Nate Snead's the person you got to give a lot of credit.
Yeah. Or
just point to, I guess, more than credit, because he's been asked to pitch in, I guess, besides the starter, but in the bullpen, every single role, different days, closer, long 4 or 5 inning outings of long relief. He's done a little bit of everything for Tennessee, and he's risen to the occasion almost every time.
Another pitcher I want to hit on is Aaron Combs. Got the final 3 outs, the final out of Tennessee's national championship victory tonight, and he pitched after pitching 60 pitches last night. Comes back out. I don't know for sure, but I highly doubt Combs has done that this year where he's gone 60 and then pitched the next day.
No way he has.
Tony wouldn't do that in the regular season, but Aaron Combs coming in tonight, gutting out those final 3 outs, did get into a little bit of a trouble in the ninth, of course, gave up some runs, but getting those final outs were huge, and he was the guy to give Tennessee the win there at the end.
Yeah, he was a little wild, a lot of wild pitches.
He's fired up too.
He had a
Mike moment after that 1K.
Yeah, he had a ball trying to throw over to first base after the runner had stolen second to pitch before, but none of it mattered. They were focused on the guy at the plate, which was the tying run, and that's what most matters. And all 3 outs in the ninth, strikeouts.
Yeah.
So his stuff was shoving. He gets closed the game, if I'm not mistaken. He closed the game in the SEC tournament championship against LSU. I think.
It's tough to remember. Yeah, no.
Fact check us.
Yes, I remember because
you
I
don't
was
have to fact check
was
us.
about to go out on the field, and things got
real hairy.
Yeah, real hairy there for a second. And I remember I was right behind home plate, behind this glass, ready to go out on the field, and watching Combs' slider from the catcher point of view. I was like, holy crap. So, yes, Aaron Combs got the final outs in the SEC tournament, gets the final outs tonight.
Yeah, another guy that, I wrote about it in the Kentucky series. It felt like he was changing Tennessee's season with the way he emerged. He became, maybe not the most important arm because most of the time he didn't throw 60 pitches like he did yesterday, but he kind of became the guy to me who I felt for 1 inning you needed 3 outs to win a game. He was the guy I had the most confidence in. They went to him, and he gets it done.
When you think about this program, Ryan, you've been covering it a long time. You're a vet on the beat for sure. And Tony Vitello building it from ground up, really, taking over a really bad program. There's 7 years ago. Now has reached the mountaintop. You saw how pumped up he was after the game going into the crowd. We know this moment means so much for Tony Vitello, but when you think about what he's been able to do at Tennessee, can you put into words just how great of a coach he's been in the stint and just how legendary his first 7 years have been?
Outside of Pat Summitt, I can't imagine anyone at Tennessee has done it. I guess General Nealon, too. I don't know if you can tell. I was not alive when General Nealon was coaching.
Like Tony Vitello hasn't met Noah Webster, you haven't met
I have
General
not
Nealon.
met General Robert Nealon.
Haven't met the guy.
But
real patriot, though.
Real patriot. Served his country.
Yeah.
Real patriot. It's unbelievable. You look at where Tennessee baseball was when Tony Vitello got here. 13 years in the wilderness, a laughing stock in the SEC. I remember I was talking to Quentin Eberhardt, strength coach, after the game, and I asked him something about the early days and guys believing, and he said there was a player after Tony's, I think he was maybe a senior, Tony's first season, said, I don't think this program will ever even be able to make it to a regional. And the way they changed the belief inside that locker room and what they've done, I said it in 21, the Tennessee and 2019 baseball season was my first ever beat, every time I was on a beat for a team. If you would have told me then Tennessee would have made College World Series in 21, I wouldn't have believed you. If you would have told me in 7 years, or in 6 years, 5 seasons, they would have made it to Omaha 3 times, I wouldn't believe you. And if you would have told me, like you said to open this, that Tony Vitello's program would have reached a mountaintop in his 7th season, I wouldn't have believed you.
Certainly emotional after game was Frank Anderson. And I know we said it on another podcast how Tony Vitello's coaching job last year was probably the best of his career, given the just lack of continuity Tennessee had early in the season. And like I said earlier, how they had to kind of gut it out. But Frank Anderson not having a lot of just sheer talent, not any strikeout guys outside of A.J. Kazi this year, losing A.J. Russell early on in the season. And now you got Xander Seacrest being the winning pitcher here in the national championship game. What Frank Anderson has done with his pitching staff this year and how they performed against A&M this weekend is a microcosm of the great job Frank has done this year.
Yeah, I know, it really is. And we'll have to go look because I know they were kind of close. But again, I think, once again, another top 5 year in ERA for Tennessee baseball. They've been top 20 since Tony and Frank's second year here. I think top 5, 4 straight years now, going back to 21. The pitching staff, it just seems like they always get it done. And it goes back to, and I know we've said this on podcasts or maybe videos, before the year, you had the questions about this team. It's like, this offense is going to be really good. The pitching, there's a lot of questions. But we said, if you could choose one of those things, you'd choose the pitching because Frank Anderson's one of the best in the country, and you think he'll probably figure some things out.
When's the moment in this game you knew Tennessee was going to win?
The Dreiling home run, I think. Punctuated by the Inslee single, Tiers double, and Inslee scoring.
When Dreiling hit his home run, I was very confident, but when Inslee scored, no way Tennessee was losing that game. No.
Yeah, and I mean, even when it got dicey, like, obviously you're nervous, but I never doubted that Tennessee was going to win.
Heck of a season, heck of a game. Tennessee gets it done. Ryan, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I guess just some factoids. You've been running the stats, and you'll have a story with all the record breakers. Blake Burke ties the single-season doubles record. Tennessee breaks their program record tonight. Tennessee, the first team in SEC history to win 60 games in a single season. SEC regular season champs, SEC tournament champs, College World Series for the 7th time in program history.
Keep going.
And the national champions for the first time.
Not only the national champions, the first time this century a top-seeded team has won it all. Put that to bed. Kyrie was 0-14 in 14-0 in closeout games before Game 4 against Minnesota. That ended. Now this streak ends.
Yeah, it's crazy how these meaningless numbers don't actually matter.
That's what my point was. That none of that stuff matters. If my dad's watching, he always tells me that about playing poker. He's like, if it happened once, doesn't mean it's going to happen again. Or just gambling in general. But what a season. Of course, we're going to have a lot more stuff on RockyTopInsider.com tonight. Tons of interviews with the players out here. Going to have a lot of fun breaking it all down with my guy Ryan after the game. But for Ryan, I'm Jack. We'll see you next season.